Take the pen, concentrate, write. The court also held that registration of the award was not necessary. Stop. It was also not hit by Chapter 20 of the Income Tax Act 1961 relating to preemptive purchase by the central government. Stop. Rapid growth of trade and commerce has given rise to increasing number of disputes in international commercial transactions, as a result of which disputes are being adjudicated by different international arbitration tribunals in developed, developing and underdeveloped countries all over the world. Stop. The essence of the theory of transnational arbitration is that the institution of international commercial arbitration is an autonomous juristic entity which is independent of all national courts and all national systems of law. Stop. Though one of the primary purposes of the transnationalist movement is to break the links between the arbitral process and the courts of the country in which the arbitration takes place, yet the effectiveness of international commercial arbitration depends upon the support of different systems of law, and in particular the law of the place of arbitration or a national law. Stop. Statutory arbitration section 2 bracket 3 provides that part 1 shall not affect any other law for the time being in force, by virtue of which certain disputes may not be submitted to arbitration. Stop. In other words, if certain disputes are prohibited by any law to be submitted to arbitration, that law shall prevail. Stop. This act shall not affect such laws. Stop. Such prohibited disputes cannot be referred to arbitration just because provision for arbitration exists in this part of the act. Stop. Whereas subsection 3 restricts the scope of operation, subsection 4 is intended to extend the scope. Stop. It applies to every arbitration under any other enactment so as to fill any gaps in those enactments, but not so as to create any departure from the provisions of those enactments. Stop. Arbitrations which are requirement of a statute are statutory arbitrations. Stop. Normally the statutes provide the procedure of arbitration in the statute itself. Stop. In case of any inconsistency between the provisions of the special statute and this general statute on arbitration, the provisions of the general law shall yield to the special law. Stop. The arbitration proceedings in statutory arbitral tribunals are governed by rules made under the statute, under which such tribunals' permanent arbitral bodies are established. Stop. The courts have no power to interfere with the arbitrations based on private agreements, and a writ of certiorari or prohibition cannot be issued in respect of such agreements or awards. Full stop.